Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We've got some sick decks for you. We've got an update to what is proving to be the number one deck in all of Marvel Snap. It's been number one for the better part of a week. We've got the updated list of that, and we've got a list, at the end of the video that I casually just went 18-0 with plus 50 cubes. So make sure you stick around for that last deck as well. Let's get started with telling you about the stream team. We don't do gameplay here on the channel. If you want to see gameplay, today at noon, Gregor2424 will be streaming the decks from this very video, and tomorrow morning, he'll have a video with that gameplay on his YouTube. All you have to do is type in Gregor2424, and the player will come right up. Gregor is awesome. Tomorrow for the new card, which will be Namora, you will get Prashaun, and every day we have a different streamer covering the decks from this channel. All right, our first deck for today, Googly is back. Googly is basically the leader of the Italian meta. Geo and all of those players, Comies, so on. Googly is like the patriarch of the meta. He ended up starting things, getting people into the game, and he is back. He's often a top 20 to 30 player. Back with a classic Black Knight deck. This Black Knight deck looks like that Black Knight deck that Zuns played way back when, except it's using some new cards in Blink and Sage as ways to get extra power on the board because it lost the Zabu play. Sarah and Sage mean that you have enough power to end the game with that blade that you don't need that Zabu as much, and this is an absolutely stellar list that you should absolutely give a try if you have access to the cards. If you don't have access to the cards, well, Black Knight is needed. However, Black Knight is also in Spotlights tomorrow. Should you open for Black Knight? I tend to think not in general, but if you do want to try this list out, Black Knight is in Spotlights tomorrow. White Widow can be any good too. I like Medusa. I'm personally partial to Medusa. Sage can be Gladiator, Nocturne, or Polaris. I really like Sage in this list, and Blink is needed. You should be able to get Blink for some cash. You can find Googly at twitch.tv/Googly_89. He speaks Italian, fair warning, but, he knows English, so if you speak to him in English and ask him questions, he will be able to answer you. Alright, so this is some secret awesomeness that you really need to try. So turn 1, you want to play Black Knight. You only ever blade when there's a really good 6 to get rid of. Turn 2, Black Knight is generally better than White Widow. Turn 3, you want to play Sif, or do the same things as turn 2. Turn 4, Jubilee, Leech, Shard, or Ghost Rider. It really depends. If you think they're running Shang, you want to avoid the Ghost Rider. Everything else is good here. The Jubilee and Leech are absolutely great. But I generally want to play Sarah, right? So given that I want to play Sarah, if I don't see Sarah, I'm perfectly happy to blink those cards away, and then I'm likely to get something pretty damn big. Again, I've got, well, I guess I could get Sarah that way, but I've also got Magneto and Infinite, so we should be set there. And then, you can always just drop some of your turn 4 stuff there. Turn 6 is Magneto, or 2 3s after Sarah, and one of those should, generally speaking, be Sage, because Sage is often about 10 to 12 power. I played a lot more Sage since last we spoke, and Sage is really good. We're going to talk about Sage in our last chance review momentarily. But first, hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. We are like 15 subs from 11,000. Help us get there. Let's make this the video that gets to 11,000. We'll throw an extra giveaway your way once we get there. Make sure you like and leave a comment as well. It really helps us grow, and watch as long as you can. You get 7 days of Snap videos that cover everything in the meta. Alright, Ava Zord's number 1 junk update. We featured this, I don't know, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was number 1. It was in a battle for number 1, and guess what? It has solidified its place in the number 1 spot. It will eventually probably get caught, because very rarely does anything actually stick in number 1 all season, but this is, right now, the number 1 deck. And it's the number 1 deck thanks to really, really stellar play, because this is not an easy one to play. It is, excuse me, it is, however, really interesting and powerful. It's got an answer to most things between US Agent, Killmonger, Shang-Chi, Cannonball, Dr. Octopus. It's got an answer to most things, and Nocturne. So it has different ways to win, different ways to throw priority, different ways to get a lot of power on the board and win the game of Snap. And you can find Ava at twitch.tv/Avazord. Widow and Jeff can be Medusa or Lizard. Lizard's really good if you go Luke Cage. As you learn the deck, I strongly urge you to throw Luke Cage in there over Sage or Nocturne, not likely over Nocturne, because, well, it's really hard to get used to playing US Agent with this many high-cost cards if you are not in the habit of playing it. So I suggest you try Luke Cage a little early on. You do need US Agent and Cannonball for this list. They are non-negotiable. Both US Agent and Cannonball are generally win conditions. Opponents have a really hard time going tall against this, thanks to Sean Cannonball and US Agent. You basically say everyone has to play the game at your size. Sage and Nocturne could be Luke and Super Skrull. That's what they were originally. And Red Hulk can be Magneto without losing too much from this one. All right, so turn 1 you pass, turn 2 Invisible Woman is your priority, and then Widow is more or less equal to Jeff. You would generally like to Killmonger behind Invisible Woman or get Magic or Nocturne down. I tend to like to get Magic down first. I really like to go Magic Nocturne with this list in particular because I can decide if I want the turn 7 or not, while my opponent does not get to make that choice, right? They have to decide, am I going to Nocturne off my Limbo or not? And it's a really powerful play. Turn 4 is basically the same thing as turn 3. Once in a while, you'll drop that Sage behind that Invisible Woman at that point, but generally speaking, you want to do the same things as turn 3. Turn 5, you would very much like to Dr. Octopus, so you can decide which of your tech cards are going to be the best answer for that lane. It also helps you set up a Cannonball to win the game. You can feel free to play a 3 plus a 2 at that point. This is a decent time to get that Widow or Jeff down if you play Invisible Woman earlier, along with that Nocturne or that that Nocturne or that Sage. Turn 6, Red Hulk or Cannonball and Octopus. Turn 7, Red Hulk or Cannonball. And you can throw Shang-Chi in there as appropriate. It's not easy to play. There's a ton of counterplay in reading your opponent, but if you are good at reading your opponent and know the meta well, this is a great deck. So great that it is the current, again, #1 deck in all of Marvel Snap. All right, last chance review for Sage. So, you should buy Sage if you want to play this deck or if you really like Bounce. Those are the two places that Sage really goes. If you love Bounce, Sage belongs in Bounce. She's usually, honest to God, just better Hitmonkey and Bounce, especially if you start her off with 3 power. She's bigger than Hitmonkey even without starting with that Bast, but once you're starting with that Bast, she's way bigger than Hitmonkey, and she is, generally speaking, exactly what you want to be doing in Bounce. If you love Bounce, get her, don't look back. If you don't love Bounce, she's not a meta card. However, Bounce is at the fringes of the meta. Bounce is like the bottom of tier 1, top of tier 2 in terms of decks right now. If you're bad with Bounce, or don't want to play that previous lockdown list, please feel free to completely skip Sage. However, this is a huge caveat. That is because Leech is very prominent right now. Leech makes Sage really complicated to play right now. She's sometimes a dead card. A 3-0 that does nothing is just bad, right? Now, if Leech is ever changed, if Leech is no longer prominent in the meta, then Sage is going to be dominant. I think that this is genuinely a great card. This feels like, I don't know, Darkhawk. Ooh, whoa. This feels like Darkhawk levels of power. This is going to be great. However, its time outside of Bounce is not now. It is easy for me to imagine a meta where every deck has Sage, though. What does that mean? That means if you have enough resources that the next card you get doesn't have to be one that you play right away, that you can wait for something to be good and not feel left behind, then Sage is a great pull. But if you are just trying to build your first competitive deck, then Sage is a bad pull. Or your first or second competitive deck, then Sage is a bad pull. Understand? Hopefully that is clear for everybody and I don't lead anyone astray. I personally love Sage because I love Bounce, right? That's not breaking news to anyone. All right. KM Best made this deck. This is a pure KM original. If you check back, not this past Sunday, not yesterday, the Sunday before, I showed you the top 5 decks of the April season, and then I made a prediction of 5 decks that would be great in May. And my big swing was I was convinced someone would break Blinkhawk. Well, KM figured out the right 12. He combined Sizer's use of Domino with just a really effective package of 1s. Like, this deck is a thing of beauty. Domino does make, I mean, maybe she makes it more likely that the higher cost cards stay in the deck. Maybe she doesn't. I've heard contrasting thoughts on that. But she does make you more likely to see one of the ones, gives you something to do on two, and then you can just fill the deck with other stuff you want to draw, right? So because you have Domino, you don't have to worry about dying on turn two. You will basically fairly often see a one, and then like by turn three, you'll see one of the five cards you can play on turn three, and from there, you're off to the races with a ton of power. This deck is freaking stellar. You can find Cam Best playing this deck at youtube.com/@CamBestInASnap for this deck, though. Blink is required. Red Guardian and Nocturne can be Polaris, Spidey, Cosmo, and Scarlet Witch. You do not, I don't know why I stuttered that. You do not want Gladiator. It makes your Darkhawk worse. Do not add Gladiator to this list, please. Nebula can be Nightcrawler. Use a little bit, but not too much. Darkhawk is absolutely needed. Red Hulk can be Doom or Scar or Orca. I know that's weird, but if you go Darkhawk on 5 and you have played any rocks, then your Scar is going to cost 4, and then you can drop a Scar, which is pretty damn good, with one of your ones. Doom is also obviously the obvious change, and I think Orca might have something here too. It looks like you're not competing with Lane. They haven't seen Red Hulk tick up, and then you drop an Orca. That should actually be reasonable. So Cam hit number 10 with this on the top 10. I personally, I had a really rough go of it. I was testing things. I was screwing around. I was at my dad's house and he kept talking to me. This afternoon, waiting for the Nick game to start. And I went from between playing at my son's swimming. Noah is my son's name. Between playing at my son's swimming and then playing there, I went from rank like right outside, like rank 1200 to rank like 3700. Well, I climbed back to rank 1200 with this by going 18-0 with 53 freaking cubes. That's like a 3 cube average. This deck is nuts good. Like, this feels as good as anything. I don't want to oversell it, right? But this won the mirror. It beat Bounce. It was rolling everything. It beat Loki. It just, this deck felt unfreaking believable. I strongly, strongly urge you to play it if you have access to these cards. So turn 1, Nebula over Korg. Turn 2, however, you will play Korg over Domino. You cannot draw Nebula on turn 2, so you would have played it on turn 1 if possible, right? But, if you got the rock location, right, and you had to pass turn 1, Nebula over Domino on turn 2. Cool. Turn 3, Rock Slide is generally better than Rock Turn, is more or less equal to Red Guardian. You Red Guardian obviously goes up the priority if there's a really good target. As far as Nocturne goes, I like to play Nocturne on turn 4 more than turn 3. Sometimes you'll want to get her out on turn 3. Getting rocks in the deck early gives them more chance of drawing rocks. Blanking a draw is hugely powerful. And if you play Nocturne too soon and they happen to magic in the same lane, you're just a little bit sad, right? Like if they happen to magic in the same lane, you've lost some cube equity. Turn 4, Leech or Jubilee. And hey, you know what feels nice? You can Leech or Jubilee in the right because you don't have to worry about Claw. I've lost, I don't know, at least 8 cubes overall by leeching or jubileeing in the right with the claw version and then being like, oh, right, I'm an idiot. Because the location said I should do it in the right, and then, yeah, didn't work out. Turn 5, Darkhawk or Blink. Generally speaking, if all things are equal, I like to Blink here, and then I can always still just Darkhawk on 6 and use Hulk or Magneto, especially if I know I'm going to Magneto and clog them up and really mess them up. And then I want to drop Hulk or Magneto or Darkhawk to end the game. This list is completely freaking insane. I think this is the best deck in Marvel Snap today. It goes taller than the other versions. It's more disruptive than the other versions. Domino is a stroke of genius for this list. Huge props to Cam. Play this list. I don't know what to say. 18-0 plus 53 cubes. Play it, y'all. All right, every day we answer some questions from our viewers, so if you'd like yours answered, leave them in the comments. Grizz asked the most important difference between a ladder and a conquest deck, and hey, hear me say this, there isn't one. You don't know what you're going to play in conquest. You don't know what you're going to play in ladder. Everything is counterable. If you are countered, you just lose. If you want to give yourself the best equity in, I mean, I guess the best equity in either, but I guess the best equity in Conquest so you don't just die. You want to play something mid-rangey that doesn't have many bad matchups so that you can always potentially outplay and win. But, like, every season, people hit a ton of infinite borders by playing something like Hella Tribunal, or not Hella Tribunal, Ongoing Tribunal, because they didn't see answers. So, like, you can do that and just hope you don't see answers and work perfectly fine. You can do that on ladder and just run when the opponent sees answers, and like you can tell if they're staying in for bad reasons. I mean, I honest to God don't think there's a difference. Sorry, I know that's not the answer people really, really want, but the only exception, I guess, is tech cards are a little better in Conquest, where you know how and when to use them, you know to save them. So decks that run a lot of tech and are mid-rangey are slightly better in Conquest overall. Although it's harder to win a bunch in a row with them because they don't have the high roll, right? Ugh. Buckets wants to know what I cut from the national budget to raise teacher wages. I mean, military funding. We definitely overspend on military if you look at the line items, which they publish every so often, and how much the military pays for really simple things because they overpay for everything. It's absurd, and that could easily handle raising um, teacher wages and helping in a whole lot of other ways. We also, spoiler, need a single player healthcare plan. All right. Gunny T and Fire Troll ask my least and most favorite chores. I mean, this is corny, but like my most favorite chore is helping my son with his homework. Um, it's great. Like he's often frustrated because he doesn't want to do homework, and then by the end he's asking me extra questions, and it's nice. My least favorite chores. So this is a total jerk move, right? But like we pay a housekeeper every 2 weeks to come clean the house because we don't want to. So we don't do a ton of those chores. I live in an apartment, so I don't have a ton of those. We take the laundry into the laundromat. We use the dishwasher for 90% of our dishes. I guess cleaning kitty litter is my least favorite chore, but like we don't actually have a lot of chores around here. Uh, one of my like major sayings is I don't have a lot of money in the bank, but like I use the money I do have to make my life better. And I want my life to be as good as possible. I want to enjoy myself. I want to have fun. And spending a lot of time doing chores that I don't want to sucks. So I don't do that. Bobby Blobberton asks, what's more important, win rate or cube rate? And so I tend to focus on win rate. Cube rate is partially a function of deck, but often a function of who's playing the deck and what level they are. I mean, it's really complicated, right? Win rate for like top 10 decks is very much lower than win rate for like decks that are climbing up the ladder in the top 1,000, and you have to like sort of know the difference and be able to read the game. It's extremely complicated, but overall, I generally think win rate is better. All right, certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. If you'd like to know the top 10 decks of last week and how I'm doing with the decks I'm playing this week, make sure you check out that Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments. It's also the only way to be a member of the Snap Judgments League, where you get to play in the biggest league-style tournament in Marvel Snap. So I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Kieslin. Hi, Abigail. Mandatory Burnout. Cables. David G. Wingfield. The Direwolf, one and only. LAB, always kind. FaThorNewman, check him out on YouTube, member of the stream team. Good Dog Gamer, hey good dog. This is the Way, This is the Way from Scotland. Inc. Jane Everett, chilling around 96, finally got my answer. Good job. JD McDonaldinho, who has the deck we're featuring at the start of tomorrow's video. Kertix Lee, the king of questions. Koirei, all the way from Japan. Pyrophoros, hey Pyro. The Goat Seeker, who rocked my face on ladder earlier, because beat me. Denman Falcon, check him out on YouTube. Doku, hey Doku. Ginger Prime, welcome to the group, Ginger. Philip Ratkovich, who wants me to put the stream team in the description to this video, and as long as I can remember that for 10 minutes, I will. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. The OG, Rob Silverman. The Bizza, not the Jizza. X-Force V and Skippy G, speaking of OGs, X-Force V has been here forever. Snap Judgments League 1 season champion, Tommy Nyquist. The King of Bros, Black Dahlia, The Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, hi Jess, Ryan Wood, Kev Sihota, Lunacris, Louis Antunes, Mod Supreme Models, Le Mesatala, who said I'm saying it right, so woo, doing my best, Brian Kaufman, and Tristan H. Martin, real name crew, The Fuzzy Dunlop of The Wire fame, Spectrumix, Hoot, who I just played in my Snap Judgments League Round 2 game, Matt H., Mikey Hijinks, my favorite DJ, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Craig Sterry, hey Craig, Pretty Frickin' Chill, Seamus, James, again, will watch this a week later and then be like, oh my god, you said hi. Spike Jones, hey Jonesy. Two Ties, whose deck got made infinite. The Pirate King Tuccrr, member of the stream team, new Twitch partner. The homie Min, who I miss, haven't heard from as much lately. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for, these decks today are kind of nutty. You should really play them. Like, I do my best to find, like, amazing decks every day, right? Like, I work really hard. I think that there's some decks that will work for everyone every day. But I think some of these decks are, like, busted level. So, play them. All right, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Check out the Patreon if you want to support us more. Make sure you hit sub if you made it this far. Peace.